21st of November, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Shavua, Parsha with Rashi, Vayeshev.
Okay. Right. Let's go. Parshas Vayeshev. Let's go.
Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz Megurei Aviv be'eretz Canaan. Yaakov sojourned in the land of the
Well, we can see Yaakov
settling
dwelt.
of his fathers in the land of Canaan.
Right. Now, notice there's a difference. We'll see Rashi is going to dwell on this. Excuse the pun. But the difference between Vayeshev, which means to dwell, and Mugurei Aviv means their sojournings. In other words, it doesn't say Vayogor Yaakov be'eretz Mugurei Aviv, and it doesn't say Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz Yishuvei Aviv. The pasuk makes a distinct change in the terminology. Just 1 second. My sound is okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's see Yaakov. Let's see Rashi.
Vayeshev Yaakov v'gomer. Yaakov sojourned, etc. Achar shekasav lecha, after it wrote for you, Yishuvei Esav Bisolado Sav, concerning the settlements of Esav and his descendants, B'derech Kitzara, in a precise way.
Concise. How did you translate Kitzora?
Kitzora, concise.
Concise, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Shelo hayu sifunim v'chashuvim, that they were not notable or important. Lifaresh he'ach nis yashvu, to warrant a detailed explanation of how they settled. Labriut. The Seder Milchamosehem, or the order of their wars.
And
Eich horishu es hachori, by which they drove out the Horites.
Means how. The order of their battles, how they. Eich means how. Eich horishu es hachori. How they took possession, overran the Chayri. Okay.
Kerash lecha Yishuvei Yaakov. It explains to you the settling of Yaakov. V'solodosav b'derech aruka, and his descendants in a way that is lengthy.
Yeah, speaks about them at length. In other words, the Torah explained Yishuvei Yaakov v'toldoso, the settlements of Yaakov and his descendants, b'derech aruka, in a extended way.
Kol gilgulei sibasam, all of the events,
all the turn of events, the cycle of events,
all the cycling of events, Lefi shehem chashuvim lefi hamakom, because they are important in front of God. Laha'arich bahem, to be at length with them.
Well, yeah, that means, or to be spoken about at length.
V'chein ata motzei, and thus you find.
Or similarly you find.
Similarly, you find ba'asara doros she me Adam va'ad Noach, in the 10 generations from Adam to Noach. Ploni holid ploni, so-and-so gave birth to so-and-so. Uch sheba lenoach, but when it came to Noach, he'erich bo, it was at length. It discussed at length. It discussed him at length.
Right.
V'chein ba'asara doros she minoach va'ad Abraham, and similarly for the 10 generations from Noach to Abraham, kitzer bahem, it is terse with them.
It speaks about them very briefly.
Like the kitzer shulchan aruch.
Right.
Concise. Umi shehigia etzel Abraham, and when it came to discuss Abraham, he'erich bo, again at length it discusses him. Mashal le mar galis.
Now, this one said before we go on to the next thing. It's pretty much understood what Rashi is pointing out, that what's important the Torah speaks about at length, what's less important the Torah just speaks about very briefly. Okay, so we have to understand what Rashi is adding by this mashal.
Well, I have to question your statement just now. I mean, look at the laws of kashrut. There's like maybe 1 or 2 psukim in the whole Torah that talk about kashrut, but that doesn't mean kashrut's not important.
Yeah, but Rashi, as far as historical events are concerned, what is important, the Torah speaks about these events at length. What's not important, the Torah is very brief. I mean, if you want to make a cheshbon, the last chapter in Parsha's Vayishlach, where it mentions all the descendants of Esav, covers a good few hundred years. That's quite a considerable amount of time. That's just finished off in one chapter. Whereas over here, we get back to Yaakov, speaks about a considerable length. You are right, 100% true, that many halachas are learned from very, very terse allusions, shall we say, to the particular halacha. That's a separate issue. We're talking about as far as historical narrative is concerned. Let's stick with that, okay?
Okay, so it's comparable to a jewel. She nifla bein hachol. Shenafla bein hachol. That it fell into the sand. Adam me mashmesh bachol. A person will search the sand. V'chovro bichvarah, and he will sift it. Ad
with the sieve.
shift it with the sieve. Ad she motze es hamar galis, until he finds the jewel. Umi shemeta'ah, and once he finds it, hu mashlich es hatzeroros miyado, he will discard the sand from his hand,
Well, the troros means the pebbles.
the pebbles. Where
Right.
did he get the
Troros are
pebbles
little
from?
stones.
Where did he get pebbles from? It said it was in the sand.
A good question. I'm telling you, the word troros means small stones.
Mhm.
Well, I'll tell you
Okay.
what in a minute. We could be. We'll try and explain it. Troros means Margolis. So
Hamargalis.
it could be explained as though. What is the? Okay, so what's the nimshal? What is the? You got the parable. What's the lesson?
The lesson is that Noach, Abraham, and Yaakov were jewels.
So where do you see the others are cast aside?
You don't.
So where? So what it says? Mishemotza hu mashlichas atzroros miyado menotel amagolis. Throws out the pebbles and takes the jewel.
I think the point here is that he searches for what's important and is not concerned with what's not important. But I don't think that that's true, because we do see that the Torah goes out of its way to spend quite a few psukim on the descendants of Esau. Why does it do that? Why do I care?
So the point is, so this is the core of the point, which is this is the idea of the throwing out the pebbles. Is as follows: that you're right, the Torah didn't mention that all descendants, but from here on, they're not mentioned anymore. That's it. No more mention of Esau's descendants. No way, nothing later in the Torah. From here on, there's nothing mentioned further. So that's the chayv what Rashi's adding with this marshal.
Wait a second. Isn't Amalek mentioned later in the Torah?
Yeah, but not as the descendant of, just says they came to attack.
Right.
But it doesn't say Amalek, the son of Eliphaz, the son of Esau. It doesn't mention that at all.
But it goes out of its way to tell us who Amalek is. It's a whole discussion about Timnah, and just because she's the mother of Amalek.
Right, I agree with you. But first of all, Timnah was mentioned before in the last week's Parsha, right?
Right, several times.
But, yeah, I don't know, several times, but
yeah, I believe so.
well, she mentioned that she's the sister of Lotan, first Lotan Timnah, and then afterwards it said Timnah, she was the concubine of Eliphaz.
Right.
Yeah, but the point of what I'm making is that as far as Esau lineage is concerned and the events that happened to Esau, the Torah does not speak about any more from this point on. So that's the idea over here. So there's 2 points. When a person takes, let's say a person's looking for a precious stone, there's 2 aspects to what he does when he sifts. First of all, there's a tremendous amount of sand, which he's got to get rid of. But even when he's got rid of the sand, he's got to sort through, because there's not just the jewel there in the sand, there's other stones as well. So in the sifting process, he's got to do 2 things. He's got to sift out the stone, the sand, and then what's left over there, that's pretty much visible to whether he'd be able to see the precious stone as opposed to the other stones, little pebbles. But then what he does is he takes his precious stone and throws out the pebbles. So that's the Nakuda over here. Point is that the point is that besides discarding all the as the sand is like the 10 generations from Noach to Adam till Noach, and until Noach Abraham. Afterwards, now we've got to look at the pebbles and the stones to check out which is which is the precious stone and which are the pebbles. That's the comparison to Esav. So once we mention all Esav, who has it's a little bit more important than the sand, but it's not the Ikka. The Ikka is the precious stone, and throw out all the other stones. So that's the marshal to this to Esav and to last week's Parsha ends off with telling us all the sense of Esav, but they're like pebbles. We come along to the precious stone of Yaakov, and that's who we're going to discuss now at length, and no more mention of Esav. Okay?
Davar Acher, Vayeshev Yaakov, another explanation of the phrase Vayeshev Yaakov, Ha Pishtani Hazeh, there was a flax dealer, Nich Nesu Gemalav Te Unim Pishtan, and his camels entered laden with flax. Hapechami Tama, the blacksmith wondered, Ana Yikanes Kol Hapishtan Hazeh. Where is all of this pishtan going to be stored? Haya pikeach echad me shiv lo. There was a wise man who responded, Nitzotz echad yotzei mi ma puach shelcha. Let's see, one spark that goes out from your bellows, she soref es kulo, it will burn up all of it. Kach Yaakov ra'a es kol ha'alufim. Likewise, Yaakov saw all the chiefs of Esav, hakisuvim lemala, that are written above, Tama va'amar, he wondered and said, Ki yachol, mi yachol lichbosh es kulan. Who is it that will be able to vanquish all of them? Makasiv lemata, what is written below? Eile toldos Yaakov Yosef. These are the generations of Yaakov, Yosef. Dichsiv, that it is written, V'haya beis Yaakov eish, the house of Yaakov is a fire, ubeis Yosef la hava, and the house of Yosef is a flame, uveis Esav lekash, and the house of Esav is straw. Nitzot Yotzei mi Yosef, a spark will go out from Yosef. Shemechaleh, to consume the soref es kulam, and burn all of them. All right, so I guess, Rabbi, I guess you froze up. I'm not sure where you stopped hearing.
Sorry?
You stopped hearing me. I read the whole Rashi, but I don't know how far.
Right at the beginning, I was explaining what a pishtani is.
Oh, okay. So a pishtan was a dealer, right? A flax dealer.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want me to read it again, or should I just summarize what
Yes,
I read?
please. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yeah.
Which one?
A pishtani hazeh.
Pishtani Hazef, a flax dealer, Nasu Gamalav Teunim Pishtan. Camels arrived laden with flax. Pechami Sama, blacksmith wondered, Ana Yikanes Kol Hapishtan Hazeh, where's all this Pishtan going to go? Haya Pikeach Echad Me Shiv Lo, there was a wise man who answered, Nitzotz Echad Yotze Mi Mapuach Shelcha, just one spark that goes out from your bellows. Sheso Reif Es Kulo will burn it all up. Kach Yaakov Ra'a Es Kol Ha'a Lufim. Likewise, Yaakov saw all of the chiefs of Esav, Hakasuvim Lamala, that are written above. Tama Va'amar, he wondered and said, Ki mi yachol li bosh es kulan, who will vanquish all of them? Ma kasiv limata, what is it written later? Eile toldos Yaakov Yosef. These are the generations of Yaakov, Yosef. Dichsiv, that it is written, V'haya beis Yaakov eish, the house of Yaakov is a fire, ubeis Yosef lehava, and the house of Yosef is a flame, ubeis Esav lekash, and the house of Esav is straw. Nitzot yotze mi Yosef, a spark will go out from Yosef. Shemechale v'soref es kulam, and it will burn up all of them, all of it. Barashi Yashan, from an old Rashi.
Old Rashi manuscript. Now, can you explain to me what's going on?
Yeah, there's basically it's commenting on the juxtaposition of the lengthy discussion about Esav's descendants at the end of the last Parsha, and the phrase Vayeshev Yaakov in the beginning of this week's Parsha. And it's saying that Esav may seem like a big deal, but Yosef and Yaakov are up to the challenge.
Yeah, but I'm asking, the marshal seems very strange. First of all, I was in here twice, that's why. Just okay, let's go back here. It seems very strange. First of all, we start off with this, instead of cash, a straw, carrying straw, he's carrying on pishta. He's carrying flax. Afterwards, we discussed, the pasuk says, Beis Esav lakash. So why couldn't Rashi just have used in the marshal, this guy bringing in a huge amount of straw? Okay? Now, this Pachmi, this blacksmith, when he has the question, he's amazed. Now, what is his question? The general question is, where is this all going to fit? Or it's just a general question of amazement? Because if it's a taka question where it's all going to fit, then this wise person is not really giving him an answer at all. Because he says, You don't know what you're amazed about. Okay, because just one spark of your bellows is going to burn up the whole thing. Yeah, but as long as it's still here, where's it going to fit? So l'chayra, his question is not a real question of where it's all going to fit. It's just, wow. Like he's so impressed by the sheer quantity and volume of all this flax. To which the wise man says to him, don't be so impressed, right? It's all air and a lot of what do you call it? A lot of stuffing, a lot of air, and a lot of it's just it's all blown up. There's nothing real there. And in that respect, that's really what the Apostle's telling us, is that when it comes to the real essence, there's nothing there in Esau, even though he's got so many descendants and he's powerful and everything like that. But in essence, there's nothing really to it. That's why it's compared to Kash. Well, again, it's not clear exactly why it changes from flax to straw, or from straw to flax. So it just needs one spark coming out from Yosef, and all of Esav is going up in flames. It's like disappearing, because what Esav is nothing real. It's just a lot of it's like blown out of proportion. I give an example. The Maisa that Chazal say that the Yetzer Hara, a person's evil urge, to the person's urge to do evil, right, is compared to Sa'or Shebe'isa, the leaven in the dough, which means that basically, what's the difference between matzah and bread?
It rises. It's rose.
Right. But in actual, there will actually be a weight difference because the air weighs something. But in actual essence, right, of ingredients, there's no difference. Besides, if you take away the yeast, or if you let a dough ferment naturally, okay, and that's the way it becomes bread, it becomes a bread dough rather than matzah. There's nothing actual besides the air in it. There's nothing actual difference between them. Mamela, that's what he's saying. The Yetzer Hara is built on imagination. It's all blown up. That's basically, as we know, that's what advertising is. Okay, advertising is not necessarily telling you something real about the thing. It's just impressing you, piquing your imagination to think, well, if I give an example, the old days, if I smoke a Camel cigarette, I'll be sitting like a cowboy on a horse out in the prairies. Okay,
that's Marlboro.
What?
Marlboro.
I'm sorry.
The Marlboro
sorry
man.
for that. Yeah, the Marlboro man. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, it's the same idea. That's what advertising is based on. And basically, it's all to play on a person's imagination. And in fact, that's what Chazal say, that when Mashiach comes, and he says the Yetzer Hara will be slaughtered. They're going to slaughter the Yetzer Hara. And the tzaddikim are going to come and cry, and the Rishonim are going to come and cry. So he says the tzaddikim will cry because they saw it, the Yetzer Hara, as like a huge mountain, and the Baruch Hashem, they managed to overcome, and not it's like a huge mountain to overcome, and they overcame the Yetzer Hara. Whereas the Rishonim saw it as like a kuchut asara, it's like nothing, like a thread. So the Mefarshim explain what's the difference. Why did tzaddikim see it as a huge mountain, and the Rishonim see it as just like a thread? is because tzaddikim are holding before the Avera. They didn't do the Avera. The Yetzer Hara was trying to tempt them, and they didn't do the Avera. So in their eyes, the Yetzer Hara was making about this, doing this Avera was gewaldig. It's like a huge mountain. There's so much hana that you're going to have. It's so gewaldig. And then, as the Rishonim, they succumbed to the Yetzer Hara, and they did the Avera. And what was it? It was like a whole lot of hot air. Just like a thread. It was nothing. You know, we thought we were going to have such an enjoyment or whatever. What was it? Like nothing. So therefore, the same idea. So this is the idea over here that Esav, who represents the human being who succumbs to the Yetzer Hara, is like it's a lot of hot air, a lot of nothing real essence to it, a lot of I can't necessarily bluff is the right word, but a lot of it's blown out of real proportion. So that Chazal is saying just one spark coming out from Yosef will reveal the nothingness behind Esav, and the whole thing's just going to go up in smoke. Okay.
What makes you say that Esav is a Yetzer Hara?
I didn't say he's the Yetzer Hara. He's the embodiment of a human being who succumbs to the Yetzer Hara. That's what I had in last week's Parsha, the sorrow shel Esav. The Chazal say the angel of Esav and the Satan and the Yetzer Hara are all one and the same.
I don't get that. I don't see the connection between Esav and, I mean, I've heard all kinds of things about Esav, that he's the grandfather of Amalek, and Amalek was Germany, and he's Edom, which is red, and that was the Soviet Union, and you know, these are very powerful forces in the world that have a huge impact on the Jewish people.
We didn't get to the Republicans and the Democrats yet. Okay.
Well,
right.
yeah,
Anyway.
Esav is the Republicans, and Yaakov is the Democrats. And I know that, but what I'm saying is, there's all kinds of stories about what Esav is, but I don't. Doesn't make sense to me that he's hot air. He's a powerful force.
Chazal say the Esav. It says Vayovek ish imoy. Right, the man brawled with Esav, with Yaakov.
Right.
Okay. Who was that? So Chazal say that was the sorrow shel Esav.
Okay.
And what does that mean? It's not just fighting him, but it's the let's put it in these terms. Esav is the embodiment of the external impediment of Yaakov in anything that he does to serving Hashem.
Okay.
So that's why he came to fight with Yaakov. The Sar Shel Esav came to fight with Yaakov.
So why does he bless him?
Oh, because this is a Shavot, which I don't know if I mentioned to you last week. I don't think I did mention that actually. What is the job technically of the Yetzer Hara?
Job of the Yetzer Hara.
Has he got a good job or bad job?
Good job.
What's the good job?
The good job is to keep us on our toes, to keep us from abusing our position.
Complacency.
Right.
How do you say? Or being
apathetic.
Not lackadaisical. What?
Apathetic.
Apathetic. Right. Very good word. Okay. Correct. But the point is as well. So that's an interesting shot, which I had intended to mention it last week. Obviously, I forgot to. it says very interesting that the angel fought with Yaakov, and it says that he saw that he was unable to defeat Yaakov. So he said, "Send me away because Ola Hashachar, dawn has broken." So the sounds a little bit like, you know what? You're having a fight with your friend, and you managed to finally get on top of me. He says, "No, my mommy needs me now. Let me go." That's what it sounds like. Okay, so what's going on? So I heard one shot from one of the Hasidic rabbis. I don't remember exactly who. A very good shot. He says, "We think that the job of the Yetzer Hara is to fight us." No, that's not precise. The job of the Yetzer Hara is to fight us, and that we should defeat it. When we manage to overcome the Yetzer Hara, that's the fulfillment of the Yetzer Hara's task. To impede us, and that we should overcome that impediment. That is the job of the Yetzer Hara. So when the angel saw that he was unable to overcome Yaakov, he says, this is now the time when I have fulfilled my task. I've tried to impede Yaakov, and Yaakov's overcome me. I fulfilled my task. Okay, now's my time to sing Shira. Okay? So but I'm saying, okay, so let's go back, okay, it's a little bit different aspect of the thing, but the idea is of the Yetzer Hara, as far as we were concerned, as base Esav Lakash, is not necessarily Esav himself, but Esav society. The society of Esav is Kash, imagination. To pique our passions, that we should imagine we're going to have a really enjoyable time. That's what I'll say that advertising is the real, that's the right word for it, that really sums up really what the Yetzer Hara is. Right? We say advertise. What's the point of advertising? It's something give you an imagination of what this product is, and because it builds up your imagination, you want it. Not that it's not just want it. You're not going to stop till you have it. And that's the job. That's the Yetzer Hara. Okay, I think we'll hold it here. Give it a bit of thought. If you have any responses, I'll be happy to hear them tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem. Okay?
All right, thank you, Rabbi. Have a good day.
You too, Kol Tov.